So yes, my name is Taras Zagibalov. I'm from OPAI. We are a startup, education technology startup, who are developing system for that benefits both teachers and students. So first of all, why should we bother about generative AI in education? Why should it be individualized, right? We're building solution, and solution needs to have a problem to solve, right? So we've been in contact with teachers and students during our trials and during multiple interviews, and we found that there are a number of problems that still exist and hinder the educational process. So, for example, sometimes, not sometimes, but almost always, students need assistance during their studies, and this happens, well, anytime in their life. So they maybe might have questions in any moment at a time, especially if it's adult learners and those who have busy days, and if they have practical sessions with their employers. So they might need questions, and they need live teaching support, at least that's what they said. And the problem is that teachers actually are human beings, and they have their lives, and they don't want to be available 24/7. Nobody can. So this is one of the problems that we encountered. Another thing is that home assignments. I learned, especially about adult learners, that they don't do home assignments. We all remember our school days, and we didn't want to do our assignments either, but things are getting more complicated when we grow up, right? Because we have families, we have friends, we have other things to do, and home assignments has to compete with all these things. So teachers want students to make to do assignments, but students don't want. And of course, generative AI doesn't solve all these problems, but it definitely can help with a number aspects. So it helps both students and teachers. It helps students with personalization of learning, especially in language learning. You know, there are some sites saying that, for example, you can just use ChatGPT to learn any language, which is not quite true. Learning facilitation, you know, those fancy avatars, boards, and other things that make learning a bit more vivid. Also, it helps teachers by automated grading and feedback, learning analytics, content creation, and even administrative tasks. So our solution, our approach tries to incorporate all these features, and we call it OPChat, or OPChat Intelligent Tutoring System, ITS. This is a system that is not replacing neither teacher nor student. It tries to be facilitator of learning. It helps both sides. It helps teachers, and it helps students alike. So it's does automatic learning personalization. It simplifies content preparation and curation for teachers. And also, of course, it involves a lot of functions like student management, learning analytics, reporting, and other aspects. Here is a brief explanation of the basics of how it works. First of all, is teacher input. Of course, a teacher has to do some input, but we did our best to make it as simple and straightforward as possible. We learned from some interviews with teachers that, well, teachers been sometimes overloaded with a lot of work, quite reluctant to use some current digital tools, simply because despite expectations, these digital tools sometimes add workload to teachers rather than relieve this from them. You know, you need to prepare this task, you need to prepare that task, you need to format it in a special way, you need to download this software, that software to get things to your LMS and so on and so forth. So we decided that all we need from the teacher is two things: the goal, so what to do with the content, and the content itself. When I say content, it's not something that you need to prepare specifically. A content could be any text which you just copy paste from available sources, or just you can make up yourself. So this is something we will discuss on next slides. So when this input is ready, it goes to input analysis system, which is basically AI. It analyzes the input. It takes into account student profile, which is also generated automatically, and domain profile, which can be generated either automatically or it can be supplied by the teacher if needed. Then the input analysis generates a course, individual course for each student separately. Even if you have a group of students, even if you have hundreds of students, each course will be generated for each student separately, even though if they have the same content. Because simply because different students have different questions, problems, and for example, this guy needs more work on vocabulary, that guy needs more work on grammar points, and that's why all courses will be sharing the same content, but the progression will be slightly different. Another thing that is generated by the AI is reference resources. So this is something that might be needed by a student as they go to practice, when they need to remember something, if they, for example, forgot something and want to go back. And this is kind of a catalog of things you learned or things that you need to practice or to recall again. Then the next phase is actually the learning step, where the chat-based interface is involved for students, and students do their assignments. They communicate with the chatbot. I will show how it works a little bit later. At the same time, there is also reference lookup subsystem where the student can consult the AI 24/7. And based on the performance of the students, their output, learning output, the AI does the analysis of the learning outputs, how learning was progressing. It analyzes all the gains and all the problems, what was learned, what questions were asked. It's kind of aggregated and is submitted to student profile. So you can imagine after several iterations, we will have a personal profile for each student, and these profiles will be different because every student learns in a different way. Every student has their own problems. Every student has their own issues, and all of them affect how progression will take place. But at the same time, they work as a group. So the teacher can be sure that they learn the same thing. And when they have live session together, they will be prepared, but prepared everyone in their own unique way. And there is example of the interface of a teacher. This is a web service. As you can see, this is a simple, quite simple and straightforward screen. So you see on the left-hand side, group settings, where the teacher can specify the native language of the students. Here it's English. The language they want to learn, it's Finnish. Whether to use translation, it says yes. And finally, goal. What the goal of their learning. And the text itself, or content, if you wish. On the right side hand, you see the list of students. And for each student, you can specify their own personal settings if you wish. So they may have slightly different course if you want, probably a more difficult text for them, probably a more specific goal for somebody. And then you can just start generating the course, and the course will be generated specifically for each student. So a couple of words about the goals. So goals could be as simple as this one: learn some basic Finnish. That's it. Or it can be more specific. For example, learn some nursing-specific communication, practice listening, and use learned phrases and dialects. Generate 6 lessons. So even you can specify how many lessons needs to be generated for this particular course. Or read and understand the text, master its vocabulary and grammar, and prepare for retelling it. So apparently there needs to be a text. For example, in learn some basic Finnish, you don't even have to provide a text. The system will try to guess something that is suitable for this goal. Learn about gerontology and prepare to answering questions about it. So this is, as you can see, not only about the language. It can be about a specific topic. It even can be in your own language, so it's not. It doesn't need. It doesn't have to be language learning, right? It can be subject learning. Next thing is the content. So the content could be whatever you find useful for this course. So, for example, this is just a beginning of the text that were used during our trial. So, different situations with social service patients or gerontotechnology in Finnish, and all these texts were used during trials with the students. So basically, content can be anything, any text. Then the teacher, when the system generates the lessons, teacher can review them. It's not obligatory step. I heard at least one teacher told me that if the system produces more or less decent output, they would be happy just to have one button, which just you press and it goes to the students. So here it is. It's a button called Save. You don't have to go through this if you believe the AI and press Save. But if you want to be to have more control over what you send to your students, then you can go through. You can edit all items here, different lessons. You can see there are 5 lessons here, and there are different activities, and each activity has some called activity content, which can be modified and or deleted or edit. So it's absolutely up to the teacher. Then teacher interface also has a dashboard where you can see all overall progress of your groups or students, different notifications. This is a student's interface. This is multilingual, so it can be in different languages, not necessarily only Finnish and English. It could be Czech and Latvian, I don't know, Chinese and I don't know, French, and so on and so forth. The application also features voice recognition, so the student can communicate using speech with the system, so you can train speaking in the particular language. And also there is for continuous learning, as I said, this list of references of things that you learned, things that you want to revise before, for example, going to speak to your clients or patients. It's built on very intuitive and very simple chat interface. You can ask any questions, and the AI will be able to answer, but you can't just chat on anything you want. So, for example, if you want to chat about cats, or I don't know, something else, something unrelated to the topic of the lesson, the AI will gently deny and guide you towards the topic you need to learn or need to remember. So the student interface is mobile first. It's also available as a web application. It's also possible to see it on big screen. It's fine, but it's as we call it, mobile first. So it was designed primarily for the mobile screens, and the interface is based on the chat concept. We have had a trial with one of the universities in Finland. It was a course for foreign students who were adult learners who were learning nursing. They were professional nurses, but they needed to learn more about the Finnish health system and practice some Finnish language to be able to communicate with the patients and with their colleagues and with their doctors and supervisors and employers and so on and so forth. And we've got very good feedback. As you can see, for most of them, the application was useful, and they were able to find it useful in their studies of the language. So we've learned a lot about this, about the experience, and modified our applications slightly more. So yeah, it seems to be a useful tool for students. So this is basically it. My 15 minutes are over. And if you want to have early access to OP chat application, then let me know. We can have trials. We can discuss how it may or may not work in your situation. Or if you have your own system and you want to integrate some parts of our system and our technology by API, feel free to contact me as well.